If the Oscars weren't mostly given to popular and politically correct films, could the Academy be criticized for anything? Yes. In my opinion, the big downside to film awards and more is their rules, which consist in having several nominees and only one winner. Of course, there are honorary awards, which were given to Andre Vida and Samuel L. Jackson. But for most people they are simply consolation prizes. Sometimes there are years when several nominees deserve to win. Sometimes there are years when the competition is mediocre. And sometimes years when it is great. The winner of a weaker category can be a worse film than the loser of a good one. Today I'm going to present a few examples in which the Oscar should have been given to more than one person. In 1975, the 1974 films The Godfather Part II and Chinatown competed in the categories of Best Picture and Best Director, among others. The Godfather won in both. I love this film, I'm glad it won. But I love the film with Jack Nicholson just as much. Roman Polanski's direction was excellent, and Coppola's too. The Golden Globes decided the opposite. And in these categories it was Chinatown that won. None of the actors playing the main roles in these productions received an Academy Award. Both films received an Oscar for the screenplay. Because they did not compete with each other, one was an adapted screenplay and the other an original. That year, another excellent film by Coppola, The Conversation, also competed for the Oscar. Unfortunately, this one did not receive the Golden Man. 1994 was probably the best year in the history of cinema, and 1995 in the history of the Oscars. In most categories, including the main one, Forrest Gump won, and it competed with The Shawshank Redemption and Pulp Fiction. This year, in the category of Best Director, in addition to Tarantino, Zemeckis, Allen and Redford, the Polish Krzysztof Kieślowski also competed. The directing in his film Three Colors Red was beautiful, as were the cinematography by Peter Sobocinski. The script written by the director and Krzysztof Pieszewicz is an example of a brilliantly written story. Even a small thing returns later in the film. Unfortunately, this film did not win a single Oscar. The award for the script was given to Quentin Tarantino, and Pulp Fiction is also an example of a perfect script. This is proof that you do not have to stick to all the rules of screenwriting to create an outstanding work. 2002, category Best Animated Feature Film. Although 3 films were nominated, the real battle was between Shrek and Monsters, Inc. I love both films, both had an incredible moral and humor. Unfortunately, there was no room for Monsters, Inc. 2008 was not an easy year for the Oscars. It would certainly have been easier if they had followed my tips for presenting awards. At least Daniel Day-Lewis and Javier Bardem were in a different category. Director Paul Thomas Anderson was certainly not happy, because he should have won 3 Oscars for screenplay, directing and producing There Will Be Blood. The Oscars were taken by the Coen brothers for producing, directing and writing No Country for Old Men. They deserved them, but so did Paul Thomas. This year was a lucky year for Roger Deakins in terms of the number of nominations in the category of Best Cinematography, because he had a lot of them and they were very loose. This year was not pleasant for him, however, in terms of winning, because the Oscar was won by an equally deprived cinematographer, There Will Be Blood. They should give the Oscar to both cinematographers, Roger twice. A similar situation in this category took place in 2013, when the Pole Janusz Kaminski, Roger Deaking, Seamus McGarvey, Claudio Miranda Robert Richardson competed with each other for Best Cinematography. In 2019, Roger Deakins could enjoy his first Oscar for cinematography in Blade Runner 2049. It would be better if Hoyt van Hoytema could also enjoy it with him for cinematography in Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. In 2010, 2 great animated films, Up and Fantastic Mr. Fox, faced off against each other. Who won? One of them. 2020 was a year of films facing off, in which most of the artists gave their all. For me, this is the second best year in the history of the Oscars after '95. In most categories, Parasite, a film from South Korea, won. For Best Production Design, the Oscar went to the production designer of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but the production design of 1917 was also beautiful and deserved an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar for Best Leading Actor this year. The competition was huge and very difficult. Unfortunately, Leonardo DiCaprio and Adam Driver, among others, were unsuccessful. Their roles were wonderful, simply worth all the awards in the world. These actors gave 100% of themselves.